Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Femdom Mistake podcast with your hostess, Mistress Simone. Welcome to 2020. It's been a tough year for all of us, and I know I've been a bit behind on recording. I do apologize for the delay in episodes. I have some wonderful interviews for you that I'm getting out to my listeners soon. Today, however, I would like to do a very special episode. Not necessarily a mistress rant, a musing. It's going to be a little bit strange for everyone as we're all adjusting to 2020 and how things have changed. But today I learned a very sad piece of news, and I'd like to reflect on it for you, give you a inside view into a mistress's heart. Today I learned that my good friend Ariana Chevalier is closing her NYC Rubber Studio. Kind of promised myself I would do that while recording this, but you listeners need to know that mistresses are human as well, and we do have deep emotions. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do what we do with you. So anyway, after 17 years, the Parthenon is closing. My New York home and good friend, Ariana. It did not come as a surprise to me because her and I have had conversations in regards to the difficulty of being a dungeon owner overall, and especially of being a dungeon owner during COVID and the loss of our income. Her place is not the first to close during 2020 COVID. Mistress Carmel also closed her Hoxton Dungeon Suite and a few others. I have been blessed enough to be able to maintain the Chicago studio through the hard efforts of some dear friends who put together a fundraiser, GoFundMe. I want to thank Alexandra Sadista and Elena DeLuca and Lady Chase and all those who've donated. But this is not about my studio. This is about the overall loss the Prodomme community and industry will suffer because of the Parthenon closing. So allow me my ramblings, allow me my musings today, allow the mistress to share a little piece of her heart with you. I may get teary. I may cry a little bit, but that just shows you that I'm very passionate about what I do. I was going to not record when I was so emotional, but I think that it's important for my listeners to know that we are human first and mistress second, that the images we show on social media only contain a part of us and can only show our heart so much. So this episode, this rambling, titled A Love Letter to NYC Rubber Studio in Ariana. I know it may seem very strange for you listeners to think that a mistress could do this for another mistress, but let me start out by saying that in our industry, friendship is a very hard thing to find. Honor and intelligence and dedication to providing a community space for all the ladies to come to is a hard road to follow. My dungeons have been a rental space for 19 years. Ariana's have been around 17 years. So when the news of her closing reached me, it was very shocking. And I was very sad. It was expected, but it was very sad. I did not expect it to hit me with the amount of emotion that it did. And it took me a while to figure out why. But it's because of the similarities in regards to journeys. And if you've listened to my interview with Mistress Ariana, you will hear the friendship and the likeness of our paths that we share and the reminiscing of the old days and the DDI days and, the envelopes in the mail, the SAZs and how clients got us and the things that have changed. And COVID was just kind of like the last nail in the coffin. I considered closing my studio this year because of the financial strain and the emotions that it caused me to experience made me overall one thing more than any, and that was grateful for my community. Grateful for the women that I know and grateful for the friends I've made in this community. You all can think that we're just a bunch of bitches that claw and bite and backstab each other, and there are those. They don't necessarily last long, but those of us that make this a lifelong dedication of love and labor, we tend to respect and honor each other and call each other's friends. And Ariana, even though our paths did not cross as much as I would have enjoyed, I would consider a peer and a friend. She is one of a handful of professional dominatrixes that has been established as long as I have. I am now celebrating my 27th year as a professional dom, which just blows my freaking mind. Where'd the time go? I was just 27 a few days ago. Really. And that is a hard path to follow. I challenge the ladies that are coming up that have been at it for 10 years to keep at it, to stay dedicated to it, because in the end, this life has left me many blessings from the submissives I've known, from the fellow mistresses I call friends, from the ability of freedom and the expression that I've had. I often sometimes wonder how I ended up here, like in that Talking Head song, but it's not a path that I would change for anything. And that is what COVID has brought to me this year, is the realization that I've been blessed. We are going to be mourning the loss of New York Rubber Studio for years. It is going to change the dynamic of the New York scene and of the touring scene in New York. Many doms are homeless now. They don't have a space to work out of. And that's definitely going to leave a hole and affect how people travel. You never realize what something means to you until it's no longer there and you don't have the option of using it or visiting it or even walking through the familiar walls and seeing Ariana sitting there talking and trying to manage all the girls in this room and that room. It takes a lot of passion and a lot of work to not want to kill everybody, first of all, but to make everybody happy and to make it flow smoothly. Not everybody is equipped to do that. Many people don't want to own a dungeon. It goes beyond simply doing your sessions. She has provided a safe space for so many of us for so many years, and a well equipped space, a space that we know we can express ourselves in. And if there's a problem, she will step up and help us. That right there is a sign of a true dedicated mistress, not only to her own sessions, her own subs, but to growing the industry and growing the sex workers that come to use her space. And this will not be easily replaced. If it actually will never be replaced. I'm not even going to go easily replaced. I will say it's never going to be replaced. And many of us will mourn the loss of this. In that regards, ladies and listeners, what I can say is for the spaces that are left, utilize them. You don't know how long they're going to be here. You don't know what the owners are going through. It could go away at the click of a hat. So use your spaces. Be grateful for your spaces. Take care of your spaces, especially if you're an up and coming dominatrix. These spaces are there for you to express yourself and to be able to function and be able to work. And if you go into them and you treat them like trash, they won't survive, nor will you be allowed back. Ariana's space was always pristine. It was clean. If you needed something, she provided it for you. She made it easy for the clients to have anonymity. This is not something that will be replaced easily. So the spaces that are left around the country, make sure you visit and tour. Upon reflection for me, it was very hard hitting when I realized that the only other person that I knew of in the States that I can actually think of off the top of my head that has a space so much similar to mine in regards to how it was structured was Ariana. There are other spaces that are more private dungeons that host doms, that have touring doms, but nothing that was more of an open community space that invited the kink community in, that had parties, that had education. So, upon the news of her closing the doors, it took a few minutes before it hit me and made me realize what that meant as to me. It meant the one of only few women who was my true peer in regards to time and path was shutting down. And it was very difficult. First of all, it made me feel very old, but it also made me feel very sad that it's kind of the closing of an era. Things are changing. COVID has changed so much and cost us so much in many different ways, and these things will never come back and never be replaced. So it made me very sad. It also made me feel very kind of ancient. And it made me sad for my friend. So I wanted to put down my musings and I wanted to put down my ramblings of how important it was for the work she's done over the last 17 years to provide a safe space, and how much I know it hurts to take this step. I've vacillated for years about keeping the Chicago studio open. I'm going to be honest with you guys. One year it's too much trouble, the next year I can't do without it. Then I go back and forth. It's a true labor of love, and the expense it costs. I mean, it's ridiculous. And you all think that the renters come in and they're covering everything, and they are helping. And having the ladies there, the energy is great. I hate when my space is empty. I hate when my space doesn't get used. It they're for that. So not having that energy in it is just sad. So I know this was not an easy decision. It is something that we as a community need to mourn and let her know how much she's loved and how much we all appreciated the space that was her heart, and that she shared her heart with us for so many years and put up with so much bullshit from people stealing and people breaking machines and running off with whips and floggers and infighting, group of doms. Okay. Herding cats. Ariana, herding cats. It takes an immense amount of tenacity and patience to open your doors of your dungeon to fellow ladies and say, come on, come in, express yourself here. I'm providing this space for you. I want you to use it. It's here for you. She could have just done the same thing I did, and that was just have a small studio, with a lot less overhead and a lot less trouble, and have her clients there. But she wanted to provide a space for all of us. And for that, Ariana, I am eternally grateful. And I'm grateful I got to spend some time there. It and you will be missed. And I am hoping you will not be as missed, because I'm hoping you will stay around. Hey, I need somebody else with this many years, lady. Don't leave me out here all by myself. This is my love letter to my friend who has been dedicated to the art of prodomination as much as I have, and a few others I know. To all of us who have reached that 2025 milestone, we should be fucking proud of ourselves and sit and have a bottle of wine. And to all those that are following in our footsteps, I damn well hope you just as she did. She was kick ass and is kick ass. Maybe New York will find a space, a home, a new home, but nothing like the Rubber Studio. I lift my glass of wine to you, lady, and we will get together again To my listeners, I thank you for letting me ramble. I thank you for listening. It's just a short little love letter to a fellow dominatrix. I really appreciate it. We will miss you. Listeners, thank you very much. Feel free to leave comments, send me messages, and let Ariana know that we all love her. Farewell. Look for new episodes upcoming. Have a good 2020, everybody. Or try to.